streaming.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello there. Oh, hello there. No, what actually got me thinking about that was the other day I was just reading through Rift's books and looking at characters and stuff, and there were characters that or OCCs that could anticipate technology, like feel when a turret's about to turn and fire, and they get an auto dodge with a bonus to that. And I was sitting there going, would that count even if they're within range? Because you're entering that territory. Like, to me, it's describing what we were just talking about, Inferno. The anticipation, not the bullet. But the rules for auto dodge is if you're closer than 50 feet, you don't add the bonus to it. It's just a -10. Unless
that's my house rule, and that is a rule in Palladium, but a lot of people play without that rule, where they just say it's just like, having attack with a sword, or at the very least, if it's within 50 feet, they just give you a flat -10, but not giving you any bonuses. I just do it because it's incredibly realistic. I mean, I don't care how fast you are. It is real, and it's possible. It's still possible. The person rolls low enough and you roll high enough, you can still dodge that fucking thing.
Oh,
but
yeah,
50 feet, oof. God,
no, I agree with that.
If you're within 50 feet of someone shooting at you and you have no cover, you deserve to get hit. I'm just gonna say that.
Well, no, I was thinking that that in the sense, if it's that where the being has the ability to naturally feel when a turret starts to turn to get ready to fire or something, it shouldn't be the dodge that's the factor. It should be the difficulty to hit that's the factor, in my opinion. But the book didn't really agree.
I think it should be the threshold to hit, not the actual, like, not the not like giving negatives to somebody, but maybe just have it as a higher threshold. Because if it does hit, let's just say that somebody is shooting and they had like a -10 to their hit, because I'm just making numbers, but -10 to their hit, and they roll a 15 and they had like no pluses, and that's a 5, and that's enough to hit. The other person's like, oh, I'm going to try to dodge that, and they get like another plus to that, where it's just like, no, I freaking rolled really high. That should still matter about how accurate I'm actually shooting you.
Yeah, any modifiers do have to be balanced, or at least fair. At the very word.
Well, and it does bring up a point that you do have to be careful. The book does things for a certain way because they've play tested it, and they've probably come up with problems that me sitting there in the shower thinking about this hasn't even thought of yet.
Yeah.
So. Because that's what I do. I think of riffs in the shower.
Oh, yeah, I don't blame you. I think of my campaigns in the shower. I come up with all sorts of shit for you guys in the shower.
Oh, no. I just, in a more general sense, I just like to think of book covers and.
Okay.
All right.
I do have one question that I just got from this whole grade milk. Asked a question. He said that he or she said that what was that sound you described coming from that panic room before we opened it? What was going on in there?
Yeah, what was going on in there?
I remember something about the sound of cutting of meat and bone flesh, something like that.
Yeah.
It sounded like something sharp hitting flesh or something. Yep.
Yeah. What was that?
Yeah, what was that?
That's something that we don't know, David.
We don't know yet.
We don't know.
We don't know, and it's like, I mean, if it was a year from now and it didn't matter anymore to this story, I'm sure Squee can tell us, but I'm sure this is still a pretty major clue that he can't divulge it just yet.
No, actually, I'm being a little mean in that one. She was cutting meat.
Yeah, that's what I assumed.
Okay, so here was the thought. If you guys were a little freaked out, and if you burst in there guns blazing because you heard the sound of cutting and stuff, and she's just sitting there with a knife cutting her steak. But you guys were actually, well, not so much.
You were fucking with us.
Yes. I was.
But that's okay. It wasn't mean spirited. You know what I mean? It was real. Like, I mean, if it was completely unrealistic, but like if she's been in there for a while, she's gonna need to eat. And she's gonna need a utensil to cut food, right? So
It just sounded detrimental because you described it so in depth.
Yeah, I know he did.
Yeah.
See, that was the sneaky part. That was
Yeah.
the sneaky part. He was
It's-
being sneaky.
Yeah,
I
it
was.
was. It was
Uh-huh.
toying with expectations.
And I was impressed because you guys kept it cool. You didn't go in there guns blazing.
Yeah. I
Going out like the
think
Punisher.
Lucas would have done that in most other situations. And not this one.
Okay, that I feel better now.
So yeah. And most of the time, like if it like Inferno said, if it had something to really do with the story that have an effect on the story, then yeah, I wouldn't have told you. But I mean, this is it's
fine.
because you would have
It's
asked, and I just would have
fine.
said, "Oh, I was cutting dinner." You know?
Okay.
You
Right.
probably would have seen it when the door opened.
Yeah.
That's actually probably no, because she answered the door, so maybe
Well,
maybe not.
we
But anyway,
remember we also had her go back into the panic room and Lucas look after her while we were talking about.
that's true. So yes,
yes.
Lucas would have seen a meat cleaver and a steak of some questionable nature.
Oh boy.
Palladium.
I hope I never seen a Palladium in my entire life.
Yep.
Hit the market, and now they're the hot new thing.
Yeah.
How? Oh my god, all the gems
Works
were eggs!
fast.
They hatched!
We
Praxis
knew the
works
gems
really
were
fast.
eggs.
But we just assumed they were inert, like chicken eggs.
It's a cookbook. It's a cookbook.
Oh god.
Nom, nom, nom.
That's why.
All right,
Thrax
let's
is one
play.
of the
We're
still
burning
back.
through our Squee
Yes.
time.
Yes.
Oh
Alright,
yeah,
so-
that's true. Okay.
So, when last we left the session, of course, you guys had just met the Corsair team, which I didn't really describe it, but I should have. They, when making introductions, they did take their, well, most of them who were wearing mega damage armor did take their helmets off so that they could greet you. With the exceptional notes of course, Cyber 6, who is just basically
He is
mega
a
damage
helmet.
creature. Yeah, he
Yes.
is a helmet. And Indigo, which is the brown-haired girl with the cybernetic eye that Isaac healed, is wearing like almost like an orange mechanic jumpsuit with boots. But as far as you can tell, no form of mega damage armor at all.
Okay. Interesting. And Isaac didn't take off his helmet. I'm just putting that out there.
Right.
So actually, none of them know his face other than, well, the people we already met.
Right.
Yeah.
Simmons and Cyber, Indigo wouldn't because she was unconscious at the time. So basically, Simmons and Cyber are the only ones that have seen Isaac's face. And Xavier and Lucas and Talivac. So basically, those two have seen all of you before, but that's it. Okay. So, I believe we were going to start the session with doing some more thorough examining. If you guys want, we can handle this a bit more narratively.
Sure.
Because I don't have any maps made out for you to go hunt the pixel.
I love narratives.
So what would happen would be Cyber 6 would suggest splitting up to cover more ground. And he would basically say, we'll go search some houses. God, I'm trying to remember names there. Sarah would tell you that the entire neighborhood, I think she's already said it, she mentioned it, the entire neighborhood has been quiet.
Pretty much, yeah.
Which is about 24 houses, give or take, in this neighborhood. And Cyber 6 says split up. Perhaps one of the Corsairs should stay with you to just stay in contact. But it's up to you who that would be. Basically,
sure.
he's like, who do you think you? Well, Cyber 6 would handle it like this: do you guys want one of us to stay with you?
I don't mind.
And who?
Do we want somebody to stay with us?
Well, I originally suggested that we break up into teams, the original Corsairs team and ourselves, because we're used to working with each other, and we'd be able to get this faster. So having someone join our team would be detrimental to that suggestion, but I'm not married to it. I frankly don't care. I'm just more interested in efficiency and thoroughness right now because we don't know how long. Well, no, these people have been gone for at least a day or two, right, Squee?
Correct. Sarah got back
So,
2 days
yeah.
ago when you did, so at
Yeah,
least
so
2
about
days.
at least 2 days. I mean, at the most 2 days, right? And there's clearly some danger involved. So,
Okay.
Xavier's only consideration is that he doesn't working as our team. Isn't hard enough, but he doesn't know anything about these Corsairs. We only know Cyber 6, so if they have a completely different way of doing things, it's going to slow things down.
Yep.
Yeah. That is a fair point.
And there could be some disagreements, and yeah.
Yeah. Isaac will ask Cyber6 if the frequency that he was given is still viable for communication.
He shakes his head and he says, "Wait. Sorry. Before I answer, which frequency? Could you be a little more specific?"
Remember when we first met Cyber6 back on Center?
Yeah.
And then he left and gave us a frequency to call him, and then he came back like immediately back into the hotel room.
Yes.
Yeah. That
frequency. He would tell you that frequency is still available, but it'll only reach him.
That's fine. We'll call you if you need anything.
He nods and he says, "All right, well, good luck."
You too.
And with that, the 6 of them will head out. And they would say something like, "We'll take this dozen, you take that dozen," including the house you're in. So Sarah's mom's house, or Sarah's house, I suppose.
Yeah.
Now, what I'd like to do is, like I said, handle this a bit more narratively. Have you guys, I assume you're going to investigate the houses. I'm going to tell you guys basic things that you would be able to see and know just by the fact that you are going to a house. I'd also like to see, because I know that you guys aren't like trained investigators, but I would like you all, if you would like, to make a case for, or to describe how your character is going to go about looking for clues. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you guys make some skill rolls, and how the threshold of that will depend largely on how your character goes about what they're trying to achieve, how they want to do it, if that makes sense. Like, you're looking for clues, but what you're looking for, how you want to go about doing it, and how well that fits your character will be kind of my judge for how successful you are at finding out whatever you're trying to find out.
Gotcha. So it's like a mini skill challenge with us picking the skills and arguing for their effectiveness.
Exactly. The only difference is, unlike a skill challenge, which is usually either you succeed or you fail, this one is more like a natural skill roll, in the sense that the better you succeed, the more kind of stuff you can find to help you.
You know what I kind of wish? I kind of wish there was like a policeman or sheriff skill. Because goddamn.
Well, they have forensics. But
they do.
In law.
They
yeah.
Have criminal investigation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Where are these skills? Because I've never seen them. What?
Yeah.
Huh. I guess I need
You
to
said
check
they're in the
base
main
book more.
book?
Yeah.
The base book. Yeah.
Huh. Because I could have sworn they weren't there. Okay. Never mind.
Yeah.
I don't really have much other than like find contraband, streetwise, tracking.
Well, I will say this. I want to inspire creativity. I will say this: there are 100 ways to look at a scene of a crime, or we don't know it's a crime, but you know what I mean. To look at a scene and gather evidence, and every character here has strengths and ways to do it. So I'm willing to work with you. Just be realistic and go with what your character would do.
Okay.
I can get the ball rolling if you like.
Do it.
Yeah, go for it.
So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at that big scratch, that big mark along the wall, right? And I'm going to inspect it. And I'd like to use my galactic/alien lore skill to determine if there's some sort of known either sentient or non-sentient creature that at least would match up and make marks like that. And give me, I won't tell you how to resolve my skill. So that's how I'm going to use it.
Got it.
So let's go ahead. I have a few other ideas, but I'm going to just start with this. Make it harder or easier by anything, Squee?
No, actually,
Okay.
no. Just roll me a straight check for that one.
Okay. And I succeed by 19.
Okay. What you're able to determine is that it is a long, about a 3 or 4 foot gash that's about 1.5 inches deep into the wall itself. And you can tell this. While it's impossible to tell what kind of creature made it, and your knowledge would tell you that there's any number of creatures that could theoretically do this with claws or weapons, but what you can tell is this. This gash was made in a single stroke. It wasn't like someone chipped away at it or made many little cuts and scrapes, which means that it's very, very likely that whatever did this damage is some sort of mega damage creature or device, i.e. a mega damage weapon, a mega damage...
a supernatural creature or a creature
Exactly.
of incredible robotic or unworldly strength.
Exactly, because there's no fraying at the edges. It's very crisp, it's very clean, which means it was one slash or cut.
Okay. No, and that's all I know. No specific species comes to mind.
None, because you know that there's tons of creatures that have mega damage claws. You could rule out several in the sense that since there's only one slash, if this was made by a supernatural creature, it would have to be a supernatural creature that either only had one claw or had the ability, like, for example, manipulatable digits so that only one claw could be used. Anything that had like a hoof-like claw would probably have left more than one scrape.
If I were to see this beast or this claw, if I were to see it, would I be able to put 2 and 2 together with this skill check?
It would be difficult because, by your knowledge, any supernatural creature that had more than 1.5 inches long claw could have done this. So.
Okie dokie.
All right.
All right. I figured out what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
Everyone's checking the exterior. I'm gonna check. The interior. I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna see if there's anything on the roof. See if there's any tracks. See if there's anything up there that we could have missed. You know what I'm saying? If there's anything up there. So give the place a good sweep from the outside and see if there's anything going on. Now, the only thing I can really use would just be my common knowledge of just, because I don't have tracking or anything like that, but I just want to study and see if there's anything different. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You don't have tracking, though. I would say that, and this is where it gets kind of in the gray area. Talivac is a thief. He's probably spent quite a bit of time lurking around places, looking for entry points, et cetera, et cetera. So I would say that maybe a prowl check wouldn't be a bad way to go about it because, it's probably not the first joint Talivac's ever cased. And when you're trying to move around like that, prowl is typically what you're focusing on.
Gotcha.
So roll me a prowl check.
All right. Yes, out of 75.
All right.
67 and 75. Yeah.
Okay, so you get outside the house and you kind of walk around it. You climb up on the roof. You find that the house is fairly easy to scale, mainly because the walls are so pitted and aged. The handholds aren't hard to come by, and it's not incredibly tall. It's only, I think, it's a one-story house, but to get up on the roof, it's like 1.5 stories. You know what I mean? The interesting thing is, despite the large amount of devastation inside the house, the outside of the house is relatively intact, other than, as I said, the things done by age. The pits and holes in the roof, you can tell that they don't seem very recent, with one exception.
Okay.
On the outside of the house, by one of the windows, there is... little scratch marks on the outer windowsill. They're not very deep, but it's little indents in the wood little scratch marks in the wood that aren't around any other window or part of the building.
Okay, I want to get in closer because I want to see if it's left any type of residuals, anything left behind, like any skin, any type of metal, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Just something, some sort of evidence.
I can tell you that there's just little scratches. There's no residual of any kind that you can visually see. The building is made out of concrete, so these little scratches. When I mean scratches, I don't even mean that there's like dents in it. It's like more like the scratches that the bottom of your frying pan gets after yeah, they're they're noticeable, but they're not like gashes. They're
like
it could
blemishes.
be something with metal rubbing up against it. It could be anything that was sharp rubbing up against it.
I got you. I thought they were like gouges. Okay.
No.
Okay. Keep that in mind and just keep looking, see if I find anything else.
Okay.
And that's what I'm gonna do.
All right. Lucas and Isaac. I should mention this too. If you have anything in particular about this house you want to do, you by all means can. However, I can also explain. We can kind of pull back a little bit and explain what you see as you go house to house, and then after that, you could then also choose. Like maybe you'll get more ideas there and say, "Oh, well, hey, I want to look for this." You know what I mean? So instead of just focusing on this house, we can also pull back to the 12 or so houses you're going to
I'll pull back.
visit.
I'll pull back.
You can almost use the same MO.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
The first thing to note is that none of the houses that you enter have any occupants. Most of them, they'll have locked doors. Some of them not. With enough time and effort, any lock that is there, Talivac can pick. I won't even make you roll for it because it's not a matter of can you do it, because they're not hard locks. It might take you a few minutes here and there, but it's literally a ghost town where you are. After those kids left, you've seen no one.
No pressure right now. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you go into about 12 houses or so. And the most remarkable thing you see is that 8 of the houses look fairly similar to Sarah's mom's house. Things are thrown about, furniture is damaged, there's just a large amount of random destruction in the house, very little on the outside.
Question.
But 4 of the houses...
With all the furniture that is damaged, does it look like there's a pattern to it? Like, does it look like the cushions were cut or anything like that?
Well,
do I need to make a roll?
Yeah.
Find contraband.
I could see that in the sense that finding contraband, you would know how to ruffle a house. You're basically trying to see if someone was shaking down a house.
Yes, that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah, sure. Roll me a find contraband. Make it easier. Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
I beat it by like 55.
Yeah.
Well done.
Here's a very interesting thing.
Mm-hmm.
No, the distinct impression you get is whatever caused this was not searching for anything. There's no pattern of cushions being thrown off the couch or slit in a certain manner. And there's no method of search pattern that comes to your mind. It is as if in each house, something went on a rampage of random destruction in these houses. There is no rhyme or reason that matches, other than the simple fact that it seems every single one of them seems to be completely random in its amount of destruction. It's also important to note that in 4 of the houses you go to, while they are completely empty, they are also perfectly fine. There doesn't seem to be any broken furniture, lamps, doors, hinges, scratches on walls, nothing of that nature. It is simply abandoned.
No open windows, no open cupboards, nothing.
There might be an open cupboard here or there, but the dishes would still be stacked intact. There would be an open window here or there, but only a crack, not fully opened. It looks as if the person who lives here is coming back after work. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah. And are these the ones that we had to pick to
What
get
do you
into? to use the lockpicking set.
Well, most of them you have to pick to get into. A few of them, the doors are just
yeah, but
unlocked.
These 4 specific ones, out of all 4 of these, how many did we have to pick, and how many were
all
unlocked? All 4.
All
gotcha.
4 you had to pick. Mm-hmm.
So these people are missing. They probably weren't captured here. They were captured somewhere else. That's
very likely because there's no signs of a
struggle.
break-in.
Yeah. Got anything, Lucas?
I will say that I am just giving you your first appearances. If you want to do like what Talivac was doing, you could still find more information. Like, for example, you didn't find those scrapes when you first got to the house. I'm just giving you what you see just by going there. So,
well, technically,
like
I
the
did
exterior
try.
of the house, but not the interior of the house.
Well, both. No, both. What I'm saying is, I'm giving you the base information that you would have before you started seriously looking into things.
I did technically do one thing, which was the find contraband roll. I want to pass it on to Lucas, who hasn't done anything yet. That's what I want to do.
All right, Lucas.
I have noticed that my skill pool is kind of on the slim side, as well as a lot of them have almost no intel at all. That could possibly, like, ventriloquism.
You can juggle your way through this,
I
can't you?
can't juggle.
Maybe a spell could help.
I can't swim through this.
Can't you fart blossom everybody out?
Yeah,
That's not gonna figure out anything.
Hey, look, man, this is the point I'm making.
I'm gonna have a hard time. I'd have to stretch it really hard, and even then, skills that have already been used would be something I would have to use.
It's okay. Not everyone. I don't think we should expect a jester, if you don't mind the phrase, to be an expert forensic scientician.
Oh, question.
Scientician?
Yes.
It's
The
like
ground.
a beautician, but for science.
Is it dirt or is it concrete or asphalt?
The ground varies from house to house.
Uh-huh.
But most of it is a concrete or wood because this is center. There's no dirt around. I mean, there's lots of dust, but the floors are generally made from some sort of metal on the outside, and inside it's some form of wood or metal or concrete.
Okay, here's something. See if there's any strange markings or tracks leading away from these doors or windows.
Okay.
Unless the thing can fly, which I hope not.
I'll go ahead and let you keep your rolls because,
Okay.
I'm not going to make you guys re-roll. I will say this. So let me go in order again. So Xavier, as you go through the other houses, you do find more gashes of a similar nature.
Okay.
However, the only there's not much differences. They all seem to be about 1.5 inches deep. Some are 2, some are less. Some are 2 next to each other. Some are just one single slash. It is more and more obvious that.
No. I think you're getting to the same conclusion I'm getting to. Go ahead.
It's becoming more and more obvious that this is something with a rounded circumference, i.e., it could be a sword, but by the roundness of the edges of the gashes, it's more likely, given your knowledge, that this is some sort of claw or circular weapon, if that makes sense. That comes to a point.
Yeah.
So it could be there. That there are certain power armors that have these kind of claws. Certain Borgs have these kind of things. Certain supernatural creatures have it. But you're more and more becoming convinced this was not a bladed weapon so much as some form of claw. Going on to Talivac.
Yes, sir.
You find similar scratches at some sort of window at every single house.
Okay.
And it's always at one window.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, I can't say it's the same because every house is different, but it's never 2 or 3 windows. It's always one window in the house, and they all have slight scratches. Some are fainter, some are easier to see, but every single house has them.
Okay. Any look outside the sill on the wall on the ground and see if I can't find any footprints or any type of scratch marks there. I'm just trying to find something that leads away from these houses.
That would require some form of tracking.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm just gonna do my best. I don't
Okay,
have.
roll me an unmodified tracking roll, please.
Okie dokie. Oh no! I don't think so.
You can't tell. The ground is kind of a weird metal that's center is made out of, covered with grime and dirt, and it's really hard to tell footprints or whatnot.
Okay.
And last but not least, Isaac.
I actually have an idea for what I want to do.
Okay.
But it would require a small interaction between him and Talivac.
Okay.
So, Tal, what are you doing?
I'm trying to see if there's whoever came in this window had to have left a track. That's what I'm looking for. Why? What's up? And I'm still looking, but I'm listening. You know.
Maybe I could try?
I stand up. Sure.
All right. I would like to try tracking.
Okay. Roll me a tracking check. Make it harder by... Okay, never mind.
Good Lord, you are killing it.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Both of those 64s, man. Just killed
Okay.
them.
Your experience is with tracking things in a desert. You're used to dealing with sand that doesn't have much consistency and doesn't hold footprints very well because dry sand falls apart. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not like mud that leaves perfect boot prints. In fact, most of your life, you've never tracked something so perfect as a boot print. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The ground on center in some ways actually is easier to track than what you're used to. It's still not great, but the grime that is on the ground has more stickiness. I don't know what you would call it, tension, than dry sand. And in 6 of the houses that you guys see, you are able to follow footprints. Some look like they have rounded edges of shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Others aren't as distinct. They might have been barefoot. Or they might have had shoes, but just the track isn't as good. It's difficult to tell.
Yeah.
But they all head the same direction. They all basically converge and head towards the outskirts of the city. You eventually lose the trail because as you get to an elevator, you can follow the trail for about a good half a mile.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to an elevator that goes either up or down, these areas are very well maintained, and it is simply a pure metal, not polished, but certainly cleaned and swept floor. And at that point, you lose the tracks.
All right. Then I will reconvene back with the rest of the group and tell them my findings.
Well, I went with you.
Well, yeah.
Mm.
But Xavier didn't, I don't think, right?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Well, I
don't
think we should.
Lucas did either.
I'm still here.
Okay, let's break it to him. Tell him that we lost the trail, but we might have a way that they may have gone, but we gotta
Lucas
check
has his
it out.
hand raised.
Yeah, we... Yes,
A
Lucas.
trail of what?
We found tracks coming from 6 of the houses that all converged to a single point and led to the elevators.
Like
So that implies that
No,
there's more
it
than
was...
one person here.
Yeah, it could imply that. It looked like it was actual shoe prints or boot prints for most of them. The rest of them, yeah, like people.
And they walked.
Yes.
Squee, I know people have used this skill before,
Uh-huh.
but I would like to use my lore galactic and alien to see if plausibly I can think of any particular tale or horror story or anything like that of Of things either capturing people or more specifically something a bit more on the mind control part.
Mm.
Okay, sure. Roll me a galactic skill lore check.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Okay, you succeed. Isaac, could you also roll me one? And this one just because it's not a skill you have, it's more of a background thing. Roll me a D100 and try and get below 50.
Wow.
Hmm.
Okay.
Man, the dice love you today, man.
Mm-hmm.
Only barely do they love him.
Mm-hmm.
You have to really talk into them for them to show some boob.
Work.
There are. Okay, I'll start with Lucas. Lucas, there are a very few that come to mind. There are certain alien species out there that have very strong psychic powers that will typically hypnotize a person into coming to them to feed on them. Though you do know that most of those creatures aren't advanced, and they're more wild or animalistic creatures. There are a few that are advanced and civilized, but those few who do this are typically shunned and not allowed in places like Center. Doesn't mean they can't be there, and you know for a fact that there's smugglers that do this kind of thing all the time, but they typically aren't found in civilized galactic space. You do know of one society that does have a very good way of capturing people or beings passively without much of a struggle, which is that the Splagorth have a thing called a Zombitron.
Yep.
That they can poke into people, and it basically makes them completely submissive and passive, and will go and do whatever you want them to.
We all know what Zombitrons are.
Yeah, you all know what Zombitrons
That's
are.
exactly where my mind went.
But out of character. Yeah.
Isaac.
Yep.
Your background would tell you that while this doesn't really match any MOs that you're familiar with, you do know the only thing that this could come somewhat close that you've dealt with before is vampires have forms of mind control where they can seduce. They can do one of two things. They can turn someone into a vampire, which you know is a slow process. It generally takes about 3 days. They have to feed on them 3 times, and during that process, the person the person they're feeding on becomes very non-resistant and can be called to them. And you also know that vampires will sometimes make slaves out of people with very much the same process. It's an interesting thing because you've seen it before, but you don't know what the difference is per se, only that some become vampires and others become more like mindless slaves.
Yeah.
So that is what you would know just from your background.
Yeah.
Lucas will go, can you take me to the prince? I want to check something.
He will lead you straight to the prince. And he will inform the rest of the group that, there is one other thing that vampires can do, which is mind control, which could potentially do something like this.
Yeah, but don't you have some kind of weird thing with vampires?
Yes. Whenever I get within a couple of 1,000 feet, I get a headache.
Do you have a headache now?
No.
Which means one of two things. It's not vampires, or they're more than a few thousand feet away.
Yep.
Yeah. Does it smell dead?
What?
If Talivac takes a whiff, he's gonna smell rotten decay everywhere. But he smelt that since he got here, so.
Oh, okay. Man, it was just a thought.
I understand.
Yeah. All right, never mind. Okay, carry on.
So am I at the footprints?
Yeah, you should be.
Okay. Lucas will look at them. He's gonna scratch his head a little bit. He turns to the group. You wouldn't mind if I messed a few of these up, would you?
No, go for it.
Okay.
And while he's doing that, I want to do something. If this is solely dependent on if Xavier shared the
Yes.
scratches in the... Okay, you did. Okay.
100%.
There's something that
yeah.
I would like to do, Squee. Now, this is a stretch,
Okay.
but I would like to make a skill roll to think of what kind of weapons I am familiar with Spligorth specifically, and what could potentially have done those, using a skill called... Let me just double check this. Recognize weapon quality.
Oh, okay. Sure. I'd give you a slight penalty, but not
That's
a horrible
fine.
one. Make it harder by 15.
By 15.
Mm-hmm.
No!
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
It might be something that I'm unfamiliar with, because we haven't really dealt with the Spligorth.
Correct.
So anyways, go on, Lucas.
Actually, that's a very good point. Isaac's really only met the Spligorth once. So,
Yeah.
So
basically just looking through his memory banks of, did I see this weapon that they used that could have done this? No? Ah, shit.
Alright. I'm gonna do something kind of creative. I'm going to look at the footprints, and I'm going to have Lucas try to find one that somewhat matches his stride, or foot size, or anything like that. And he's going to try to imitate how the person's walking. Now, I have a slew of skills of movement, including dance, the walking on tightrope and high wire, sense of balance. If there's a movement skill, he's pretty much has it.
right. You don't have tracking, right?
I don't, but he's currently just trying to almost like
No.
mimic how
Right.
the person's walking.
No, I understand, and you can certainly do that. It's going to be difficult to do only because since you're not a skilled tracker, it's very difficult for you to find each footprint. You're basically kind of relying on Isaac saying, there, that's a footprint, that's a footprint, that's a footprint. You know what I mean? So you can do it. I would say do dance, but make it harder by 15.
Okay.
As you're relying on Isaac's basically telling you these are probably from the same person. And it's here, here, and here.
There you go.
Okay, you succeed. You find that the particular one that you started following has a gait that isn't much different from your natural gait. It's a little slower, which means one of two things. The person was a little smaller than you and walking at a normal pace, or the person was your size or a little bigger and shuffling a little bit, if that makes sense, taking shorter steps than normal.
Okay. Lucas will definitely tell the others about that, but to be honest, that's not really much of a. He's like, he walked.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we should probably... I'll probably report in the findings that we have found to Cyber 6. If that's cool with you
Yeah,
guys.
I see what they. Yeah, no, I think before we run off anywhere or draw any conclusions, we should see what the other team has come up with. Yeah.
Yeah. Then Isaac will get into contact with Cyber 6 over the radio.
Cyber 6 would come in and say, you guys find anything?
Well, we found several things. A few of the houses had been what looked like broken into using a window, one specific window on each of them. We found a trail that leads over to the elevators, and it looks like the strides. And a couple of other things led us to believe that it could be some kind of mind control, because a lot of the tracks were humanoid, and it looks like they were taking shallow steps. From what we could tell, our theories could be either vampires, which I haven't sensed any since we got here, or it could be Splagorth mind slave stuff.
There's a brief pause, and Cyber 6 comes back over the radio. Yeah, that's pretty close to what we found here. Magnolia says that some of the houses we found that weren't torn to all hell had someone living in it until, in some cases, only a day ago. There's also something else that... have you guys found anything about a golden orb?
No. Is there a golden orb?
No.
No, you guys haven't found anything.
No.
Xavier
asking.
furrows his brow and says, out of all the things we would have expected, anything about a golden orb is a no.
Yeah.
You hear back over the radio. Well, it's flimsy, but the group's still trying to put something together. We'll talk more about it when we reconvene.
Okay.
Hey, I wanted to check something. Can Mr. Cyber 6 come over?
Yeah. Cyber 6, can you come join us, please?
Cyber's like, well, actually, might as well meet back up, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to meet?
We'll stick around here, and Isaac will give an approximation of where they are.
And Cyber 6 will say, well, we'll be there in a few minutes.
Okay.
So after a few minutes, the group comes back, much the same as they were when they left. And Cyber 6 says, well, this is one damn big mystery.
Can you come over here?
Cyber 6 would go over to Lucas and kind of nod to him.
All right, I need you to come in here as he goes into a house.
Cyber 6 looks at the others.
Over there.
Cyber 6 looks at the others and does as
Xavier's gonna just shrug.
Yeah, me too.
Isaac will nod and shoo him towards the house.
He does as instructed.
I've now learned, like, if this was my first interaction with Lucas, I would be like Cyber 6.
Mhm.
But I have been through so much. I know if he has a weird ass hunch, about 80% of the time it pays off. The other 20% of the time it's just fucking nonsense. But most of the time this pays off.
Mm-hmm. Or
I doubt it,
hilarious. It could be hilarious at the same time.
I've doubted him too, but now I just let him go and don't question. Let him...
All right, stand there. Could you kind of brush the poncho aside a little bit? Thank you.
Hang on. Cyber 6 would brush the poncho aside, and you would all catch a glimpse that underneath the poncho, from what you see from like the left side, you see at least two sawed-off, what look like sawed-off double-barreled shotguns holstered around his chest. At least two, from what you can see.
Impressive.
Thank you. And he's kind of doing the picturesque box thing. He's looking between Cyber 6 and a very large one of the gashes in the wall.
Mm-hmm.
He's currently comparing, because I did check this when we first met up again after all this, if he was wearing my particular armor. That armor got extremely wounded by specifically scratch marks from a vampire.
Yup. That's true.
And I'm trying to compare the scratches between the wall and the armor.
Oh my god, you're a genius!
I know, right?
Well,
Holy
you don't need
shit!
me anymore. I'm going.
No, what if someone asked me like, "Do you have damaged armor?" I recorded it, but if you asked me how it got damaged, I probably wouldn't have had any recollection. Holy shit!
Okay. Um. So, okay. Good news. Before I continue, because I don't want anyone getting downhearted. There is a positive effect to this. So, Cyber 6 is no longer wearing armor. He is wearing the poncho and the sombrero, but his body itself is basically all he's wearing, the mega damage materials that he is made of. However, his poncho does have a large tear down the back of it from a vampire claw.
Yep.
And when you explain what you're doing, if you compare the poncho to the wall, you have a pretty decent fit.
This is probably a pretty good chance these are vampires. Claw marks at least match.
You will hear an audible "fuck" from Isaac, and he will start panicking and start talking to himself and wringing his hands.
Okay, we don't need crazy right now.
Sarah looks to Lucas when Isaac starts acting like that, and she goes, "What does that mean? What are vampires?"
Nasty buggers that don't like water.
Or sun, or wood, or fire.
She shakes her head. So, where is my mother?
Lucas actually thinks for a bit. We met certain vampires a long time ago. In way far away. It'd be interesting for them to even come all the way over here. Why would they be here?
Xavier shrugs. Your guess is as good as mine.
It's either
But
okay, so it's either they were tracking the town that we moved, or this is a completely different group with a different agenda.
Xavier sighs and shrugs, and he says, "No. What Cyber 6 was talking to us before about how something in our interaction created some," and Xavier's going to wave his hands, "time paradox or whatever, and that their closest clue that there's something on the lower levels of here. Well, when did we first meet? When we were dealing with vampires. I don't think this is some random group. I think this is the same group. I have no idea how they got here or why they're here, but they're going to have to be gutted completely now. Which means we're going to get in one hell of a fight." And Xavier kind of grits his teeth, not liking the sound of that.
At least better prepared. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just saying it's like, well, this time, since we know what it is, we'll be better prepared.
Well, I also have been stockpiling weapons to fight vampires for the past few months on the ship. I also know that there are several weapons up in Center proper that we can get, specifically some Techno-Wizard stuff. Also, there are flares that are literal sunlight, which will drive vampires away.
Once we get confirmation,
yeah,
we'll have to gear up.
Indigo actually steps up and she says, "But wait, I thought the whole point of us going when we did was so that they couldn't track us. Isaac, you're familiar with vampires, right?"
Yes.
"How would they be able to track us across that distance?"
Isaac will just shrug.
If you want, since this is kind of a what your character knows and doesn't, you could roll like a knowledge check, lore vampire kind of thing. Just roll me a D100.
I'm just checking to see if I have... No, I have lore demons and monsters. Would that help?
Yeah.
Okay.
Roll that.
I fail by 11.
You Well, Isaac never really knew much about how vampires tracked. So, yeah, not sure if you could answer that exactly.
Mm-hmm. He will
Well,
just shrug.
One thing's for sure. If we're dealing with vampires and the Spillergarth are not involved, you know how they feel toward each other.
Do I? Do we?
As a GM, I don't think any of your characters know how they feel towards each other.
Yeah,
we
no
don't.
idea. No, that's metagame knowledge, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Okay. That was just an insane rambling from someone who's frustrated.
We'll just say
No, that just wasn't in character. We'll just say
Yeah.
that's
really
fine.
easy.
And then you'll see Cyber 6 shaking its head. He says, but this makes even less sense. Do vampires typically covet items of complex technology?
Just gonna look at friggin' Isaac. He's and Xavier's just gonna say, listen, out of all of us, he's got the most vampire experience. A lot of your questions, I have no idea. All I know is what this guy has told me, which is silver hurts them, water hurts them, and they're assholes.
Yeah, look, Squee, a lot of these questions
I'll
don't
say-
fucking know.
Yeah,
So-
I got it. You, in your experience, vampires have never shown any sort of interest whatsoever in anything technological. They're magical beings. They'll sometimes wear body armor if they want to fit in, to disguise themselves.
Mhm.
But it's not like you've ever seen them out seeking plasma weapons or
Yeah.
anything of that nature.
He has also only messed with like maybe 1 or 2 master vampires, if that.
They're incredibly rare. I would say
Yeah.
Isaac's never met a well, you've met
No,
one.
we did meet
maybe.
one, so
Yeah.
1 or
You've
2.
met one, but
Um,
you have about as much experience as everyone else does. So.
Yeah, so
All right, well, this is something that I definitely know. Instead of sitting around here guessing, why don't we get out there and start knowing what's going on?
yeah,
I
and
like
at
that.
least I can let us know if they're within about a quarter mile.
Cyber
Okay.
6 holds up a hand and says, wait, before that, Ollie, show them. And the thin reptilian DB steps up and he says, we found strange things in the others' buildings. I believe Cyber 6 asked you about a golden orb.
Yeah, we had no idea.
In a few of the houses, we found some sketches of an orb-like thing. It didn't make much sense until I hacked the computer of one of the undamaged houses and saw a large amount of information on this. And he pulls up on a holographic display on his computer an object that looks just like that. If you look up on level 1 where the manor is.
Oh. Okay.
He says, from what I can tell, it's an artifact of great importance and rarity. Some sort of technological marvel that is being transferred here to Center under the ownership of one named Thraxis. It would seem coincidence if we had not also found sketches of it in other houses.
Of course it leads back to Thraxis. Everything leads back to Thraxis. And Isaac will just fucking throw his hands up in the air.
I go over to Sparring and say, what do you think it is? I mean, have you made an analysis?
Sperling shrugs and he says, there are scientists still trying to study exactly what it does. I don't know where it comes from, but I know that it is priceless. Thraxis seems to be employing a great deal of security on it. It is arriving tomorrow.
Can I see it, please?
He motions to the holographic image of it.
It's just a projection.
Well, yeah, he doesn't have it. Yeah.
Oh, shit. Never
Thraxis
mind.
is doing a horrible job if he's just got it.
Like, how would he? Never mind. I don't
Yeah.
want to even start.
But yeah, there's a holographic image of it.
Hey, there's reasons for everything. That's why I thought it was just there. But anyway, It doesn't. It just seems solid, right? It might be.
It seems exactly as it looks. Solid.
Okay.
Smooth, round, about the size of it could fit in the palm of your hand.
I'm pretty sure it comes apart, but there's just no visible seams. That's what I'll say. But other than that, I don't. I'm out of ideas.
Comes apart, no visible seams. Does that look like one of those telemechanics orbs, Squee?
No, the telemechanic orb is obviously very complex, even though that rolls up into a little ball, it has tons of designs and things on it, and it's much smaller than this.
Okay.
It's like baseball sized, or
yeah, softball size is more closer to it. It's more softball size.
Oh, so it's like so it's a little bigger. Okay, yeah. All right.
Simmons has his hand on under his chin, like in thought, and he's like, well, I suppose it doesn't matter as much what it does, other than that we know that they want it for some reason, and that makes it important. I suggest if we do go hunting, we split up. One of us examine this or look into this orb, see if we can figure out why it's important, and one of us go after the vampires.
Okay. I think that I may have misspoke before. I should say that we gear up first, then go look for those creepy bastards.
Xavier has to nod. We probably shouldn't rush into it. Honestly, we should get properly equipped to deal with such threats.
Yeah.
Xavier just thinking of his little Walther PP, and he didn't bring silver bullets.
I need to go all Van Helsing here.
Cyber 6 will nod and he'll say, Isaac, if you could give us a list of what can actually hurt these things.
And then Isaac will respond by very quickly going down the list of what affects vampires, what doesn't affect vampires, how to kill them, how to make sure they stay dead, and all of that.
All right.
The whole flowing water, silver bullets, all that stuff.
Okay. Onegas, the large furry DB, after you explain that, he kind of shrugs and goes, that sounds like a mess of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
It is. More than you'd think.
Well, at least we know how to fight them, and this is center, after all. I'm sure we can find what we need. Well, and then he kind of pauses and he says, perhaps an evening we retreat, relax, regroup, come back fresh in the morning?
Daytime? Yes, that'd be a very good time to do things.
Yeah. Then we have time to re-equip and all of that stuff.
I'm going to go out shopping.
Yes.
Yes, me too.
Onegas holds up a hand and he says, and perhaps we could fill out the application later. Cyber 6 again just kind of like puts his face in his hands.
Well, you have fun with that. What time is it now?
It's late afternoon. It's hard to tell in center, of course, but it's late afternoon on the planet.
Couldn't a watch tell me what time it is?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, like I said, late afternoon, early evening.
Okay. So the shops, what time do they usually stay open till?
24 hours, my friend. This is center.
Yeah. Okay. Hey,
some shops close. No, I understand. Some shops close. But
I thought you said the thumb shop is closed.
Yeah.
I can't get new thumbs?
What pretty much happens is a shop closes, and then another really oddly similar shop opens next door, and
Yeah, it's either one of two things. They always have staff for 24 hours, or there's just so much that people can be open for a variety of hours during the day.
Yeah.
Okay. If anybody needs me, I'm gonna be in the Naruni section again, and I'm gonna try to get some special ammo.
Sounds good. First things first, Sarah?
Sarah is standing there kind of in a stunned state. What?
Would you like to accompany us to the manors? We'll get your room.
She kind of like grabs like her sleeve, like with one arm, like where she's kind of across her chest, grabbing her other sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose I definitely don't want to stay here.
Yeah, I think it would be safest.
Would it be safest, though? Xavier asks. Maybe for just a few nights, she might feel safer in an area in which there's other people, instead of her being alone, right? You've worked in hotels all your life, right? And resorts and whatnot. We do have a ship. We do have crew members, both robotic and non-robotic, who could keep you company. We have weaponry. And frankly, you'd have to bring an entire army in order to breach the hangar bay of Center.
That is true.
Yeah.
Sarah nods gratefully to Xavier and says, I think I would like that, yes.
Okay. And you can use either of our rooms, either Lucas's or mine, or we even have a spare one. We have a lounge area in which there are beds and whatnot, so you can set yourself, get comfortable, and we'll get to the bottom of this.
You hear Simmons from behind. I don't want to intrude, but would that offer maybe extend to us as well? If we're staying in the same place, we can put our heads together better. If you would be so kind as to accommodate us.
Don't you have your own ship?
He nods, and he says, I was simply thinking that if we are all in one place, it's easier to make plans. But I don't mean to impose.
Well, if we all should be in one place, with all due respect, yours, from my recollection, your ship is much larger than our own. Although the second chance is in the smallest ship in the world. It's just I'm not too sure if we have enough beds for all 6 of you, as well as Sarah.
Well, let's see. There would be a tight fit, but we could possibly do it. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, and Isaac's counting on his fingers. No, we're missing one bed.
Simmons again thinks, and he says, okay, maybe then if it's okay, I and Onegas would go with you guys, and that way Isaac could tell us more about what he knows, and we don't take up as much space.
Yeah,
and it would give Onegas a chance to, he says, fill out his paperwork.
Yeah. Another option is I do have a bedroll and a tent. We could just roll out a bedroll on the smuggler's lounge for whoever to sleep on the floor.
Xavier raises a hand and says, let's not overcomplicate things, frankly. Either with tents or with paperwork. We have... Listen, we're dealing with a pretty darn serious threat here, right? So anything that gets us moving forward, I'm all for it.
With that, Simmons seems to nod his head, and Cyber 6 goes, okay then, well, the rest of us will head off. We'll stay in radio contact, and we'll figure out our next step tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And we'll see what we can dig up online of that orb. Talivac, if I remember correctly, you're pretty good on the computer too. Maybe you can look into it?
Sure, whatever y'all need me to do.
He nods. He goes, you can put your heads together with Sparring. Maybe see what you guys can find out.
Okay. But I would like to go and take care of the my little shopping list first.
Oh, yeah. I mean, as a GM, of course.
Okay.
You know what? In fact, Sparring, unless you have objections, Sparring would tag along with you.
That's fine. All
right.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to step back and do this a little narratively, unless there's any questions or anything anyone has.
Nope.
Okay. What we're going to do is, you guys, if you don't have a link still to the shops on Center, I'm going to shoot that over to you. And
okay.
if you need something that's not on it, just ask me, of course, and we can retroactive.
I'm going to need to ask you.
Squee, I'm going to need to ask you.
Yes.
You guys, I need a link to this first before we start doing all this asking.
Hang on.
Yeah, go for it.
Is there a way in Google Drive to send a link to a folder instead of just one file?
That's what you did last time.
Yeah, I know, but I don't remember how I did it.
Yeah, hold on. I have the link. Let me just pull up the appropriate tab.
Here, does that work for you guys? Just shooting the link over.
Let's find it.
Check.
It's on 3 Galaxies in Skype.
It looks like I
Yeah.
have a lot of folders here. Yes.
Yeah,
Good,
it works.
Good. Okay, so you guys will be taking Sarah back to the ship. Simmons and Onegas will go with you. Cyber 6 and the rest are going to retreat to their own ship. Sorry, trying to remember names here. Sparring will accompany Talivac, and I do have a scene to play out for that in a second if you're okay with it, Talivac. First, I'd like to, if you guys are okay, kind of go or role play what happens when you take Sarah to the ship.
Sure.
Yeah.
I want to make sure to note, I will try and make sure that the identification stuff that we have installed is not active for her, or add her to the whitelist, or however we do it.
Right. Okay, well, let's role play this. Because I understand exactly what you mean now that you mention it.
Mm-hmm.
So you would find the ship, of course, in dry dock, as Hart is still... She's getting towards the end of the modifications, but she's still working on it. And you see a couple of labor bots here and there welding on the outside of the ship, repairing damage.
Mm-hmm.
The ramp is open as you approach. And you actually can hear... you can hear Hart's voice from inside. And she seems to be yelling, and you hear, no, this one goes there, that one goes there, okay?
Okay. Heart? Hello?
There's like a pause, and then Hart comes poking her head out down the ramp. What? Oh, hi. Hi.
We have some guests. Could we stay on the ship for the night?
It's your ship, boss. I mean, I have no problems with it. Might want to let them know where the trouble spots are.
What trouble spots?
The defenses that we installed on the ship.
Yes.
Don't let them shock themselves.
Yeah. We want to temporarily add them to our by our database for now, if we can do that.
She kind of wrinkles her nose. She says, "Oh, I suppose it's possible. It's a pain, though. Is it just for the night? I mean, we could just tell them where they are and don't touch this."
Yeah, that's true. Isaac will turn to the rest of the group. What do you guys think?
Sure. I don't know.
Sure, as
I
in
don't
just
really
for the
know
night.
how long they're going to be staying.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what Xavier's gonna say? You know what? Wait a second. No, fuck these Corsairs. We don't need to have a sleepover in order to coordinate. No, they can go back to their ship. We'll figure things out on our own. Think things have complicated. There's obviously some complications, so we'll just go to it from there.
But we did just say that they're allowed to.
The plans have changed.
Obviously, the ship has changed. The plan has changed. The things have changed. Things I think are going to change a lot over the next day. Xavier says.
Simmons, who's standing like 5 feet away, is like, "Well, there's no need to be so rude about it."
Yeah.
Well. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, Xavier says. I'm sorry. I was just informed that not only are vampires running around in the lower levels of Center, but they're the same vampires that we came across. Time is in crisis, and the most powerful man in Center is involved. I'm a little stressed out. So yeah, I don't have time to say my pleases and my thank yous and my excuse me's. Okay?
Simmons stares at Xavier and he says there's a difference between pleases and thank yous and fuck these Corsairs. But I get it. And he goes, come on, Onegas. And just kind of motions and walks away with Onegas.
While they're walking away, Isaac will say, sorry.
They're fucking paperwork and shit. Xavier starts going to his room.
Pencil pushing pansies.
Wow.
All
Okay,
right.
then.
With that, Hart will kind of look like, should go, oh, so one guest then.
Yeah, one guest.
And I'll just do this narratively because I don't want to talk to myself. Hart,
Okay.
and Sarah will introduce each other, and there is instant Hart being friendly and open and innocent, and Sarah being tomboyish and not the most polite. Be an instant clash of awkwardness.
Mm-hmm.
So, as Hart begins dragging Sarah up to the ship to show her her room, talking about girl stuff, and Sarah gives like Lucas this look of "save me."
Lucas thinks for a second.
And shakes his head no.
Lucas thinks for a second. His best idea is, you know what? She probably just wants another person to talk to. She knows. He's going to be, I can do girl stuff.
All right, so Lucas is following.
Yes.
All right then. Hart is taking Sarah to Hart's room. The room that is full of rainbows and paint.
Oh boy.
And when you get there, she has Sarah sitting on Hart's bed as Hart is sitting cross-legged on the ground, talking about the specs of the engine. She's excited. Sarah looks incredibly lost. But the idea is like Sarah. I mean, Hart's talking about this as if this is the latest, hottest news to be excited about.
Yeah, Lucas is currently thinking to himself, "So this is girl stuff."
Would Lucas like enter the room or?
He noticed that Hart has not been looking at him during the whole time, and he would stop at the door and kind of knock at it.
Hart doesn't stop talking, but Sarah will look and see you, and then like her eyes will widen, and she'll say, "Oh, Hart, right? That is very, very interesting, and I'm sure we can talk later. But I believe Lucas wanted to go over something with me." And Hart's like, "Oh, well, yeah, sure, okay, we'll talk later." And then Sarah just like gets up and grabs Lucas by the hand and like drags him down the hallway, like. And then she says like very quietly, "I have no idea what she was talking about. She seems like a very sweet girl, but what's wrong with her?"
So she really likes machineries, especially the ship. She loves the ship. She designed it herself. I like the horn.
She kind of nods. She says, "I was thinking it looked weird, but it is starting to make sense now." She says, looking back at Hart's room.
She is an elaborate. She does her job really well. She's probably the best in the field that I've seen, at least. She made little sensing robot things. And then he like stops and looks up for a second and darts back to Hart's room.
Hart's still sitting there cross-legged.
Did
just
you get those
staring at the wall?
Did you get those bugs back from your shop?
She looks at Lucas for a second and then widens. "Oh, of course."
Okay, good. Because those are really neat.
She nods enthusiastically. She goes, "I know, right?"
Gives like he starts just like gesturing thumbs at her, like thumbs ups at her, and then starts just like quickly moving away from the doorway. And sprints back down the hallway.
You'd see Sarah there, and she's looking distant again, like her, lost in thought and not looking very happy.
So that thing I wanted to talk to you about.
What? Oh. Sorry, I was just trying to get away for... Look, she seems really sweet, but after everything that's happened today, I'm not really in the mood for that kind of enthusiasm.
Lucas, he nods, generally not knowing what the heck she's talking about. He understands that there's hardship, but getting away from Hart, she's a good person. But then he goes, so should I show you around the ship?
She nods and she says, "Yeah. Answer me one question.
I'm probably going to need to do that a lot.
You don't know where my mom is or what's happening to her?"
Personally? No, not really.
All right. Then, yeah, show me the ship or whatever. Just something to take my mind off of this.
Lucas stops like, look, if you want something to keep your mind off things, I'm your man. Yeah.
No, she looks at you, and then like thinking about it, her mouth tilts up just a little bit and a hint of a grin.
He like kind of slowly nods like, yeah, I can do some music. I can dance. Basically anything a jester can do, I can do it a good 5 times more. I don't really do math so well, but
She gets this like almost wolfish grin, and then she walks back a little bit and then leans against the railing and kind of like leans back against the railing and crosses her ankles out in front of her. And then she says, "All right, hot shot. So you'll see what you got."
Lucas immediately goes, all right, check this out, and starts beatboxing. And
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Like stomping his foot, beatboxing.
I'm sorry, could you roll me a skill check for beatboxing?
Which one would you like? I can either do sing,
You have two?
I can either do sing or trade 5, I think.
Let's go sing. I think would probably be what you'd want to do for this one.
Okay. That's skill sing. Cool.
Wow.
Wow. Lucas begins to beatbox like a human DJ. Well, wait, there's nothing but human DJs.
So have you seen Men in Black, the first one, when he was communicating with that the alien at the I think it was the
That was the second one.
I was oh yeah, well,
yeah, I remember the scene. I just don't remember.
Yeah.
Basically that.
Yeah.
All right. Is he going for like an actual beat? Like, is he trying this is going to be pleasant to listen to?
Yes, and he's also going to try to break dance.
Okay, roll me a dancing skill, please.
Yay!
And make it harder by 10 because you're multitasking, sir.
By 10.
Oh my god!
Oh,
Think
wow.
I can't throw down, Squee?
So, okay, so let me see if I can lay this scene out.
Oh boy.
She's looking down. Isaac says, if you need a man to take your mind off it, I'm the man. She leans back and says, all right, hotshot, let's see what you got. And Lucas immediately starts breakdancing and beatboxing in the middle of the hallway.
Yeah. That's the only way Lucas knows how to see what you got. All right, bring it down.
There is a momentarily look of shock. And it doesn't really seem to go away for Lucas's performance. And okay, I'm curious. How does Lucas end? Like, does he end abruptly with arms out wide, like that, or something like that, or what is he?
He would probably end in one of those like spinning on his head, then puts his hands on the floor and has his like legs and like an awkward like jutting position as his mouth goes.
At the end of the performance, despite the day she's had, Sarah bursts out in laughter that is incredibly loud, like belly laughter. And Xavier, even in his room, he hasn't heard much else. He kind of maybe heard a little bit of like boop, 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 something, but all of a sudden he just hears Sarah laughing really loudly. She kind of shrinks down like to where she's squatting and like kind of wipes a tear from her eye from the laughter, and she goes, all right, I needed that.
Lucas then from his position does sort of a he basically gets back on his feet very like a slinky, where he kind of like puts his feet down from his position, still having his hands on the floor, and then basically brings up his body from that position, and then takes a bow.
She claps, and then she says, all right, I think I'll take that tour now.
Good, because it's tiring to do this.
And scene. Is that a good place to stop there, Piph?
Yes.
All right, we'll just say that Lucas gives her a tour of the ship.
That's the whole.
Bravo.
All right, real quick before we jump over to Talivac, Xavier, Isaac, I'm just curious what you guys are up to.
Well, I am going through all of my stuff. I'm making sure I have everything that I need, that I might possibly need, and then Isaac will go and purchase a few things that he is missing.
Okay. Sure. Okay, so you're just going to go basically shopping.
Yes.
Alrighty.
Doing an inventory, basically shopping, and then afterwards, he is going to try and find Cyber 6 and hang out with the Corsairs for a little bit.
Okay. Okay, we can get to that in a little bit if you're okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right. Xavier, what is Xavier doing?
Oh, I don't know, honestly. Oh, I know. It's kind of reflecting what I'm doing right now by browsing through the item lists, because I'm sure that many of these stores have at least their inventory and what they offer being able to be accessed through my holo computer at some way or another. Is that a fair assumption?
Oh yeah, there's Space Amazon. That's definitely a thing. So
Okay.
you could browse.
So that's what
That's
what
fine.
Xavier is going to do. Kind of prepare for all this shit.
I would say
Amazon?
that. I would say that on Center, most of the main stuff you'll find online. Some obviously magical shops and things like that you might not, but yes, most of what you see on that list you could browse online. You might not be able to purchase online, but you can at least browse it. Okay.
Okay, great. So
Awesome.
that's what I'm doing.
Then I'm going to jump over to Talivac. All right, so Talivac. Ollie goes with you, and he doesn't say much as he kind of just follows your lead. And after a good half hour, because it's going to take that long just to even get to the Naruni area. Probably when you guys are in a cab that he'll pay for.
I would like to ask him a few questions though.
Oh, sure. Then I'll go ahead and let you take the lead.
Okay. I like So where do you come from?
I am from a planet that your people have not discovered yet. Remember, we are from 500 years in the future.
Well, I guess my question was appropriate then. Okay. Well, I just tell him that I'm from just small talk. I'm from Earth. Got caught up in this a while back, and it's fun. It has its ups and downs.
He would engage with small talk with you. He'd be very interested in learning about your people. He would let you know that he doesn't understand it too much, but that his species apparently is from the same planet yours was, but that the species diverged several million years ago through a rift or some other form. It's hard to tell, but that he'll let you know that your genetic makeup is 96.8% the same.
Wow.
And after a bit of small talk, he'll say, I need to tell you this, but I wasn't sure how to broach the topic.
Just look, in my group, we're as blunt as we can be. So lay it down. What do you got to say?
He nods. He says, you know that the Splagorth are looking for you, yes?
Yeah. I kind of like give a sigh. Yeah.
He nods. He says, unfortunately, you tend to stand out from the rest of the group. Your species is easily identifiable. The Splagorth Overlord, his name, I gather, is High Lord Jarnolth, has apparently been systematically murdering every one of your species he has found on center here. I'm guessing that he's taking a policy of if he kills all of them, he will eventually get you.
Well, I don't think there could be too many of us. I haven't seen a single one of my kind since I've been, anywhere.
He nods and he says, they are only a few hundred in number, yes, but most of them are easily found on the database, and I discovered this. And he pulls up his hollow computer again. Deeply coded. I don't think the Splagorth were able to pick up on it, or at least it would be difficult. Some of your species are calling a meeting, a gathering, to discuss what is happening and ways to rectify it or survive it. I was thinking perhaps we should attend. Perhaps we could find more information on what's going on, and you and I both have particular skill sets that might advise them. I would not like to see more of your people dead.
I just turn in my seat and look at him with like a surprised look, and I'm like, yes, I would think so. I had no idea. I haven't seen a single one of my kind since I've been in this group.
He nods and he says, your kind are rare, as I'm sure you know, but Center has hundreds of millions, if not billions, of people on it. A few hundred of your kind are bound to be here, and they tend to be very reclusive.
All right, this meeting, you know where it's going to be?
Take a look for yourself.
All
And
right.
he'll pass over the computer, and what you can see is, and you can very easily tell. Actually, roll me a hacking skill.
Oh, okay. Let me just double check my skill. Okay. No, I'm too excited. I guess I'm just too distracted.
Yeah. You can't. Well, you failed, but you can still tell a few things. This file was encrypted. It was in a deep section of like the internet type of thing. So, it probably would take someone like yourself or Ollie to find it.
Mhm.
But basically, it's a calling to others of your kind to gather together this afternoon, as a matter of fact, which is why he was trying to broach the conversation.
Mhm.
They're gathering in an abandoned building, and the purpose of the meeting is to talk about options, figure out what's going on, share information, and figure out ways of getting off of center or finding a place to hide until it blows over.
Okay. How many hours we have until then?
You have about 3. They're going to be meeting actually at night. So you have about 3 hours from now. Plenty of time to do a little shopping and then go.
Okay. So I'm gonna do some shopping, re-gear myself, and
Mhm.
then head over to that place if possible.
I will also note that you feel a deep sense of regret and sympathy from Rapture when they're talking about the Splagorth just slaughtering your people.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is the first time I've heard about them being here. I'm first of all, being around my own kind. It's like that's an amazing thing. You know what I'm saying? I haven't seen my own kind in
Mhm.
years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no,
And
he'll get that sentiment too. You'll
uh,
actually say in your mind, he'll say, "I feel I must apologize. My old masters are responsible for this."
well, your old masters are about to get my scaly foot in their ass. But first things first, we got to find my people, and we're gonna make sure they're safe.
There's a sense of affirmation in your mind.
And with
Um,
that,
mhm.
so I'm gonna set out in that order: shop,
Okay.
re-gear, meeting.
So what we can do, if you're okay with it, I'm gonna jump over to Isaac real quick, and then we can make sure the other players are okay, and then jump over to that meeting.
Go for
Okay.
it.
Okay, sounds
All
great
right.
to me.
So, how are we going to handle the buying thing? Are we just going to do that after session?
Yeah, let's just I'll let you guys just have the week, kind of figure out what you want. If you have any questions, ask me. Also, an important thing I'd like to ask is, at any point in time, would any of the players mention to Hart what you're looking for, what you're going up against, etc.? Or,
Um,
are we keeping her in the dark?
Um, Lucas would probably have talked to Hart at some point in the day, and
Yeah.
most likely going to be very excited about. He he would probably mention, "Oh my gosh, do you need anything while we're out? I was going to pick up some. It's kind of going to be a surprise, but it's going to be something really good against vampires."
Well, I'll just do this. She'll go, vampires. Wait, were those things you were talking about? Hated water, silver, etc.
Yeah, they would hate silver water. I need to get some.
Hart starts like tapping her chin. Say, boss,
Hmm?
can I have, say, 100,000 credits?
No, I would say no to most people. So I'm probably gonna say no.
She holds up her hand. She goes, boss, 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 boss. Water guns, and she like spreads her hands wide as she says it. Powerful water guns.
Now, is this something that you want to buy or actually develop?
She laughs. She goes, "Buy." No one's crazy enough to make that but me. I mean, let's face it.
Sold.
Who's going to spend 100,000 credits? She nods. She goes, "Who's going to spend 100,000 credits on water guns?"
Lucas actually like slams down like a lot, like sold.
She nods. She takes the credit stick, transfers the amount, and runs off. She says, as she runs, she's like, "It'll be a few days, but I promise it'll be good." So
Alone again.
all right. So Isaac, so you browse, you do some shopping, and then you are going to track down the Corsairs. It's not hard. You will find them on their ship,
okay.
which is same level, but it's actually in the docking port instead of in the dry dock repair bays.
Okay. And he is going to have on his normal cowboy outfit nowadays.
Okay.
Because he
Got it.
took off his MDC armor. So he's gonna go up and try and contact them.
Like by radio or like knocking on the door? Or...
Knocking on the door.
Okay. Give me a second. Roll 1d6. Okay. Indigo actually answers. The door slides open. She goes, "Oh, Isaac. Hello." And you see her. She's got the same orange jumpsuit, but it's unzipped and like put down on her waist, and the sleeves are tied around her waist. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
Yeah. Like a mechanic's outfit.
Exactly. Underneath is like a black tank top. You see on her arms and the parts of her chest and back that are exposed what looks like metal that's part of her skin. You know those that MDC plating that you can get as a cybernetic enhancement?
Yeah.
It kind of looks like that, but this looks more like it's a part of her skin. So either like really high grade or it's something else. But you can see it over much of her body, and it's kind of glistening from sweat. And she's like, "Sorry, what's up?"
I was wondering if I could talk with the rest of you guys. Xavier kind of insulted a few of you, specifically Simmons.
Wrinkles her nose and she says, "Yeah, I heard about that. Simmons is not happy."
Yeah, I wanted to apologize and maybe help move things along and better relations and all of that stuff. Maybe answer any questions about vampires and all of that stuff.
She nods. She says that might help. I mean, if we're going to work together, the smoother, the better, I suppose. But he's kind of busy at the moment. He should be free in about 30 minutes. You want to stick around?
Yeah, sure.
She nods. She goes, "I could use a sparring partner."
Okay. Interesting. So that's what you were doing?
She nods and she says, "I'm a Corsair. Gotta stay in shape."
Ah, okay.
Instead of, okay, so since this is a sparring session, Isaac, instead of making this like an actual you strike, etc., etc., if you're okay, we could pull back a little bit, handle it more narratively.
Sure.
Okay. Just roll me. Here's what we'll do. What is your hand-to-hand to strike modifier?
To strike modifier is +6.
Okay. Roll me 3. And I'm going to roll 3. And then we'll just kind of use that to gauge the flow.
1d20 plus 6? Or...
Yes.
Okay.
1d20 plus 6.
So 1, 2, 3.
All right, so 1, 2, 3.
Nice.
Okay. All right. That's actually pretty even.
Yeah.
Pretty close. All right, so I'm gonna handle this a bit more narratively. So she leads you to like towards the back of the ship, where there's more of an open room. It's not too far from the door you knocked on, and in the room is all manner of training equipment, and on the floor is like a soft mat. And she goes, "If I were you, I'd take off that duster."
Okay. He'll take off the duster, and his hat, and his guns, and his sword, and all of his weapons, and leave them in a pile.
She whistles at some point, like, and then she goes, "All right," and she kind of like cracks her neck a little bit, and she goes, "Don't hold back." And then she starts dancing from one foot to the next. Isaac knows enough about, he's never really seen like boxing or anything, but he knows enough about fighting martial arts that her footwork, just from what you can see, is excellent. To us, out of character, she looks like a boxer. You know what I mean? Dancing around, that kind of thing, doing that kind of shuffle. And you guys begin
boxer shuffle.
The old boxer shuffle. And you begin sparring, and the thing you notice is twofold. One, for her size, she is incredibly strong. She's not as strong as you, but I mean deceptively strong.
Yeah.
And she is amazingly fast. Her jabs, her punches are lightning quick, and her footwork is just as good. You can keep up with her, but she's constantly dancing around you. You have to constantly keep turning to face her.
I see. And something that she will notice is he is not actually punching her per se. All he is doing is lightly touching her with his palm.
He'll do that once or twice, and the more he does that, the harder she starts hitting you.
That's fine.
And then eventually she'll say, I said sparring partner, not a punching bag.
Oh, I know.
I'm gonna kill you.
You don't know my fighting style here. Do you mind if I... Are these walls reinforced?
She nods a little hesitantly.
All right.
They're reinforced enough.
And then he will place his palm on the wall, and I would like to do energy expulsion large, which is SDC damage. But it's a fairly large amount of SDC damage.
Okay.
So 66 SDC. Should I roll that?
Well, yes. Okay, go ahead.
So 23 points of SDC damage to the wall, and it will create basically a wave of force.
Okay. The wall has absolutely no effect whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And,
but he's looking for the sound and all of that.
The sound
of
the force doesn't of itself have sound. Like I imagine the wave of force is kind of a silent thing.
But it's impacting something, right? Otherwise, there would be no damage.
Oh,
right.
You put the hand against the wall.
Yeah,
right?
I put the hand against the wall, and then
you hear like okay, got it. I'm following you. I thought you meant the actual sound of the explosion.
No.
Like rocket hands. All right. You hear the slap, like a hard slap, like if someone was like pop metal.
Mm-hmm.
And then she looks at that and she goes, kind of raises an eyebrow, a little friendly, a little competitively. She goes, "What is that?"
That's how I fight. Psychic stuff.
I'm gonna kill you.
She shakes her head and she goes, "Is that the best you can do?"
No, but I am afraid of actually harming your ship, and I don't want to do that.
She nods over to a pillar that's kind of holding the roof up, and it's got some dents and things in it. And she goes, "That's our practice pillar. Show me what you really got."
Okay.
Oh, this is completely different now.
All right, and then he will stand back a bit and tell her to stand back a bit.
She'll stand back.
And he'll make an L with his hand, basically a finger gun, point towards it, and I'll use Mind Bolt.
She'll hold up. No, she'll hold up a hand, and she goes, "No, ranged, hand."
Hand? No, I can't do that.
That'll
wreck my hand.
At the hand. She's like, "You put your hand against the wall. We were talking about fist fighting. I thought you actually had some oomph."
Ah, jeez.
And then she shrugs and then kind of does a little hop step, and she is in front of the pillar. You see her right fist, around the right fist, instantly glows like a blue shimmering light. It looks almost like the same light that comes from a ley line. And she does a straight punch into the pillar and leaves a sizable dent in the mega damage pillar.
Okay.
And she goes, "I thought you had some oomph," she says again.
Okay, out of character, Squee. Will the back blast of an energy expulsion with mega damage hurt Isaac or not?
No. No, I imagine the energy is kind of radiating out from him. It would just be absorbed by the pillar or whatnot.
Okay. Then he will go up, lay a hand on the pillar, and use Energy Expulsion Mega then.
Okay.
So...
Because the nice thing about that power, it's not like a grenade exploding. You know what I mean? You're directing the force of it. So you do 6 points of mega damage.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Nice. The dent you leave is almost as big as hers. It's not bad. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, you just put your hand against the mega damage object and dented it. That's pretty amazing. But it's almost as deep as hers, and she nods with respect. She goes, "All right, that's more like it. Let's stay away from that, but come on. No love taps." And she starts dancing around you again.
Okay. But I did just...
And
All right. At least I can put you back together then.
while you're sparring again, she says about that, I really am grateful.
No problem.
We don't have exactly what you'd call a medic in our group.
Yeah, well, I'm the closest thing that we have, technically. Also, technically, the bruiser, like, mobile armory guy, along with potentially weaponsmith, potentially telemechanic. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. He's gonna stop mid-spar.
I just want to say, based on how a couple of the Corsairs are sulking in the corner, that Xavier's quite a bit of a bruiser too, just to bruise into their ego.
Yeah.
Different types of damage.
You left
Psychological bitches.
bloody pulse.
She'll nod, and then she'll stop for a second. She'll say, "Mind if I ask you something?"
Sure.
The history book's a little unclear, but what the hell did you guys do to piss them off so badly? The Splagorth, I mean.
Oh. Well. This is as good a time as ever to take a break. Here, sit down.
She'll nod and sit down with you.
And he'll start going over in detail what happened after the Corsairs left.
Okay. She'll listen, and she'll nod, and at the end she'll give this, like, it's a smile, but one that doesn't really touch her eye. Singular. And she nods and she says, "Good. I was from Earth too once.
Oh.
I was part of an order. You ever hear of the Cyber Knights?"
No. Well, I've heard of a Cyber Knight, but I didn't know there was an order.
She nods. At least there was, but I was captured by those bastards and a slave until Cyber 6 got me.
Isaac will look very surprised.
She looks rather pained, and she goes, "Anyway, the point is, anyone that jabs him in the eye like that is a hell of a friend in my book."
Yeah. Although, technically, we did kind of start a war and all of that stuff, and, ugh.
She nods, and she says, "Well, there's a bunch of philosophies to that, but could be argued war is going to start one way or the other."
Yeah, but we're the spark.
She shrugs, nods. "Look, the way I always looked at it is, you do what you can. You do what's right. Sometimes it's a mistake. Well, sometimes it doesn't end right, but I'd never call it a mistake."
Yeah,
Anyway.
just leave it at that.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good scene there, I think. Do you mind if I jump over to others?
Do it.
All right. Xavier, Lucas, you guys, what you doing?
I'm going shopping.
Shopping.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, awesome.
So Lucas will probably browse a bit, and he'll go there, right there, and he's going to go, and I'm not entirely sure exactly where this is, but he's going to go to a church.
Okay, what you're gonna have to be a bit more specific.
a Christian church.
Okay, there are. Well, there is be pretty hard to find, because Christianity still exists on Earth, but it's obviously not as common as it used to be.
Wait.
And-
Are you telling me there's no such thing as the Space Pope?
Unfortunately, no. There is the space.
Well, now I'm going to become an atheist. In
Wait.
real life because
There
wasn't
is the space vicar.
I don't care about no stupid Anglican.
Take what you can get.
I want
around.
a space pope. I want a space pope, and I want him to
Space
be
pope,
reptilian.
You know what? Here's the deal. We just haven't found one yet.
Oh, that's not how it works, Squee, and you know it. All right, anyways, I've digressed this away enough. I'm sorry.
But you could find one. It'd be a small chapel. It would actually be down on level 6, which is I'm sorry. Hang on. Yeah, level 6, which is the first residential quarter. And it's a small little chapel about the size of it looks very similar to like when you go to movies, they got married in a chapel, that kind of thing. It's one building with the bell tower. Looks very similar to that.
Lucas looks at it. This might be hard, but goes in anyway.
Inside, you see a wolfen DB dressed in black robes with a white like crucifix attached to a chain around his collar, and he goes, "Welcome, my son. I haven't seen you here before."
Lucas is freaking screaming into his head, "Make the joke! You just have to say daddy once." And ask where he was for so many years.
Oh,
You have to.
Oh boy.
Lucas's better senses is keeping him from doing such things. And he clears his throat and dabs his now sweating forehead. So I'm looking for a particular sign. So I heard you may have something called a cross.
He nods to the crucifix around his neck and he says, "You mean like this? It is a holy symbol in our order."
Without the little man on it.
a little man.
The wolfen
I'm gonna
kind
bite
of,
my tongue. I am going to bite my tongue.
Hey, no. Just the wolfen kind of frowns and he goes, "Well, that little man is kind of an important part of it."
Oh, ones I saw did not have him there.
It is true that some crucifixes do not. This one is more ornate than some, but that little man is our Lord and Savior.
Oh. He looks closer at it.
Oh god.
Were you seeking one for yourself?
Oh, yes. So I guess I'm in an odd predicament at the moment. I'm looking for I'm going to look. There's vampires, and I'm looking to get across.
Give me a second, actually. Let me roll something here.
Authorities.
Da, 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 da. Okay. He goes, I've never heard of these vampires, but we do offer we do offer crucifixes to those who are willing to be baptized.
Bath sounds really nice, but
I'm sorry, I'm dying a little inside.
I should ask, this isn't making you uncomfortable.
No,
is it,
it's not
okay,
at all.
okay,
I know
okay.
it's all in character. I'm not
Yeah.
that. You know me well enough.
I
I'm
do,
not that
but
kinda
it's always
guy.
better to
By
be...
making a lot of these comments, I
Mhm.
know. So I'm really glad that you're asking. No, I'm fine. I don't care.
Okay.
It's okay. It's all in character. It's all fine.
He would say, excellent, my son.
no.
It's
The okay. Do you have one that's he like grimaces for a second and goes, yes, I might be back for another favor because okay, yes. I might be back again for your, I think it was called a blessing.
the baptism. My son, you seem very troubled.
No, I just I'm not used to he like waves his arms around and he goes, I guess I just don't know exactly what I'm looking for. But I should be back with something. Okay, yes, the baptism and crucifix without your Lord on it.
He nods and he says, many sheep are lost when they come. Know, though, that if you give yourself unto the Lord, he will guide you and protect you in all that you do. I think a baptism might do much to settle your soul.
His eyes go to the crucifix on his neck.
And he says, I am free. I could, if you are serious, I could perform the ceremony now.
He thinks about it for a second. Yes.
He nods. I'm going to handle this a bit more narratively just because it's going to be a process that takes a few minutes. He will lead you over to the altar and he'll ask Lucas to kneel.
Okay.
And then he will he'll basically say, do you accept the Lord and Savior?
You better say yes, Lucas. I'm just teasing.
Wow, this
That's right.
roleplay is getting
Become a
seriously real.
Christian.
Jeez. This is like actually getting intense. I mean,
So
I fear
his
for
thing
Lucas.
was, do you accept the Lord and Savior?
Uh-huh.
He's like, Lucas could be like, I'm offended you would even ask me that. Of course I accept him.
He nods and then he says, then eat this. And he hands you like a small little bit of what looks like some sort of bread. And then he takes a cup full of red wine and he dips his fingers into it and then puts it on top of your head and says, you are baptized in the name of the Lord. You are now one of his sons, one of his sheep in his flock.
Lucas thinks to himself, this isn't a bath. This isn't a bath at all.
Obviously, some traditions may have changed over the years.
Which is why I can't even get pissy about it, because it's in a fictional game hundreds of years in the future in a galaxy far, far away.
And we
the
know
fact that
realistically
Christianity is even here on center is a miracle.
And we also know that over hundreds of years, traditions tend to change from what they were.
Yeah, just on this planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But after that, he would give you a wooden, it's not ornate like his is, but it is well made, constructed. It's actually made from wood, which is fairly rare. Not incredibly rare. It's not like unattainable, but there aren't trees in center. But this is made of what looks like oak or something of that nature, and it is very well and finely made. It's carved out of one piece of wood, so it's not like two pieces of wood just stripped together or something.
Wow. Thank you. I will most likely be back, but this is going to help out a lot. See, like, doesn't he kind of like squirms a bit, like not knowing what to do? He kind of like half bows, sort of salutes.
The wolfen nods and he says, "If you are ever troubled, my son, in need of advice, I will be here."
Oh, thank you. Be nice to talk to somebody every once in a while. You seem very nice. I like you. Oh, what's your name anyway?
This is up tabs.
Bark McWolf.
Father Bark McWolf.
Yeah, sir. Give me just 1 second. Okay, that's not what I thought it was going to be. I thought tribal names was actually going to be something cool, and it's Crashing Waves, Handsome One.
Cool name to somebody.
Handsome
Those
One.
are
Call me. You may call
Those are
me Handsome One.
Native
That is my
American
new-
names. Where's Dances with Wolves?
Head smashed in Buffalo Jump.
My
yeah.
name is Father Retu.
Well, Father, does he like kind of like his head kind of like twists to the side a bit, like there's something else he wants to say? I would like to talk again. I have another favor to ask of you in the future, but this, thank you, as he like holds up the holds the crucifix up, the cross.
He nods and he says, "Take it with my blessing."
He like he grins a little bit and slightly chuckles to himself as he like with a smile exits the church.
A baptized Christian.
Yep.
All right. Well,
Hey,
that definitely went in
another one,
directions I never
hey!
expected.
Yeah.
Well done. All right.
And
is that-
everyone who's listening to this is a Christian now too. Ha!
So
Bye,
that's
chat.
step
Wait,
one
what?
to
I wasn't paying
Lucas's crazy
attention.
plan.
Never mind. Don't worry about
Step one to the crazy. That's step one to the crazy
Step
plan.
one. There's 2 more steps.
All right. Give me 1 second. Let me jump over to Xavier. See.
Absolutely. Go for it.
Is there any?
it. Xavier realizes his limitations. He has pretty good armor already. He has force field built into it. The only thing Xavier is comfortable with getting, and he thinks might be helpful, is the biggest fucking pistol he can find that can fire silver bullets. So I'm thinking like a Magnum or Desert Eagle .50 or something like that. And I was wondering, Squee, if I could use your SDC weapon guide that you gave to our Corsairs campaign, because in the documentation that you linked to us right now, what's on center, there's no real SDC weapons, right?
Yes.
So I was wondering if that's possible.
Yes. Absolutely. You wouldn't find it in, say, the Naruni market, but just in the
no.
free markets in general, you
Mhm.
could find plenty of Earth-based STC weapons. So you can absolutely
Right.
use that guide.
Great. And will
Just
there
mark
be
any prices up by 50% if
so the
there's prices
biggest
in there.
caliber for pistol is reasonably like .50, right?
Yeah,
Anything greater
it's
than that, it's
50
like
caliber
bananas.
AE.
Would I be
Yes.
able to find silver in those slug sizes?
It would take you a bit of searching, but
Mhm.
yes.
Okay, great.
There
So
are
how?
there.
Mhm.
I was gonna say there are enough creatures in the Rifts universe that are damaged by silver that there would be a pretty decent market for silver ammunition.
Okay, great. Then I will while Piph is doing that, I'll find it and I'll throw it towards you for an approval, and then you can tell me how much it is and how much
Sounds
bullet I want, and then we'll be good.
sounds perfect. I do have a small interaction. Oh yes, what?
I do have the stats for said pistol because I have 2 of those Desert Eagle 50 cals. They are slightly
Oh, okay.
modified from the PDF that you are referencing, Inferno. So I can
Oh,
throw
okay.
those stats to you.
Yeah, do that. That saves me like a bazillion times.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
I have a
that
small
was
interaction if
about
you're up for it.
$600.
Okay.
600 credits ish.
Oh, we'll let Squee know things might have changed. You know, war economy and all that.
Right.
But
Well,
Yeah.
actually, no. Just up that by 50% because of the war economy. So everything's a bit more expensive right now.
well, here's the other thing too. Xavier might, if there's options, he might get a really fancy looking one because
Yeah.
Xavier
I tell you
likes
what.
fancy shit.
In that case, just shoot over kind of what you're thinking, and then I'll let
Okay.
you know.
All right, cool.
But I do have a small interaction if you're up for it.
Yeah, of course I'm.
So-
What role play? Why would I want to do that?
So
In my fucking role playing games, I'm
You
just here to
are-
make snide comments and criticize fictional Christianity.
and fuck the police. Of course, there's.
Yeah, fuck those guys. Lol.
That was so awesome in character.
Yeah.
Fuck the Corsairs. We're right here.
I know.
You think I don't know that?
All right.
right.
So you would have to go from store to store because while you can certainly find them, it's not the easiest. So you'd have to track it down a bit. The online shopping that you did turned it from a few hours search, from a few days search to a few hours search. Like you were able to pinpoint like maybe these 3 or 4 stores, but you do have to go shopping around a bit. At one of the stores, one of the later ones you go to, which is it's basically a flea market in a building. It's got tons of SDC weapons and everything from SDC weapons to children's toys. I mean, it's like a flea market. And at some point, when you're looking at guns, you hear like from behind you, "Excuse me, boss, coming through."
Oh no. I turn and see Heart, don't I?
You see Heart with her arms full of stuff. Just stuff. Some guns, some metal rods, some looks like circuit boards, and a bunch of just random things as far as you can tell.
Okay.
And she kind of like stops and like she's like hopping on foot, like she was jogging in place, and she kind of leans back and goes, "What you looking for, boss?"
Xavier thinks for a moment. He says, well, last time we came across creatures like this, they were extremely intimidating. I've decided that although this isn't quite my style, I'd find some weaponry that might be intimidating to them.
She begins dancing even faster with like a smile, and she actually goes like,
Okay, go ahead and say it, because you're going to anyway, Xavier says.
She pulls out a little yellow plastic pistol that looks like a little rocket ship, and she pulls the trigger and squirts Xavier with like 3 little streams of water, and she goes, "That, but awesome."
Xavier will purse his lips, wipe the water out from his left eye, and say, I did say intimidating, not wet.
She deflates just a tad, and then she goes, "Well, if running water hurts them like they said, well, you know what? Never mind. It's better to show than to tell."
Xavier says.
And then she begins to back away and squirts Xavier one more time and goes, "But awesome." And then just like starts backing away.
Xavier shakes his head. Then he finds. Then, if it's okay, we can role play this a little bit. Xavier shakes his head and be like, "Awesome, awesome, sure." And he's browsing the weaponry and he sees this little sucker on display. There it is. Here, I'll put it on 3 Galaxies chat too.
Oh yeah, I see that.
Yeah, and then I'm like, and then Xavier says, "Awesome." Points. How much? I want. Except maybe instead of like an eagle engraved on the side, it would be. No, I guess it could be that eagle. It's a griffin, so that's kind of neat. Yeah, okay. No, we could just keep it the exact way it is. Or no, that is an eagle. I don't know what that is.
It's an eagle, yeah.
Sure, why not?
Only made in America.
Oh, never. Eagles are symbols of all sorts of stuff.
Not if you ask an American.
True. It's
We're very
freedom.
Possessive. All right. Yeah, sure. I will. I'll tell you what. Like I said, give me the list, and then I'll get your prices, and that way we can get it taken care of out of session.
Right.
But it's certainly available. So yes. Now here's a good question. That is, you're looking for 50 cal in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay. We'll get that taken care of. Is it safe to switch back over to Lucas real quick? Talivac,
Yeah. Let him do his thing.
I thought you forgot about me.
No, I haven't forgotten you yet. I
Okay,
just yours might I might want to like end the session more with that. So
I gotcha.
all right.
Before we make my new gun and cannon, I might think
Sure.
during this week what other design that might be lore friendly that's on there. So right now, is it okay if we leave it as a blank slate, creatively speaking?
Absolutely.
Okay, then I'm good.
All right. Lucas, what was step 2 of the crazy plan?
So, step 2, find somebody who can make things.
Once again, I believe you're going to have to get more specific.
Okay, so I'm most likely going to need to find a person that can develop particular mega damage objects, or objects in general. One of the two.
That's not much more descriptive. What are we talking here?
I am specifically looking for somebody to make basically a shape but in resized model of the crucifix I got.
Oh, okay. So like a sculptor or a welder or something like that.
Yes, for the
Okay.
most part, a welder would be.
You would have to go to the. Okay, you have 2 options that you would know from your time here in center. You have the more mechanic district, which is usually in the shipyards. The shipyards, obviously, it's like the shipyards are, as with most things here, its own city, full of all kinds of things, including lots of mechanic shops, not just for ships, but for all types of vehicles. And you have lots of welding factories there that weld mega damage plating and things like that all the time. You also have the art district, where sculptors will commonly sculpt and weld mega damage statues and pieces of and works of art.
Okay.
And that would be close to Wonderworld.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and get these.
I'll probably go towards the sculptor side.
Let me get the Corsairs off the screen because we're not dealing with them right now.
Tired of looking at him.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So you could go to the art district. You would find the first shop that you see that would conceivably do what you're looking to do would have a human looking person with wisps of blue hair on the sides and like a blue mohawk down the center. They've got black lipstick and several metallic things in their skull. But they are in the process of finishing welding what looks to be a very beautiful recreation of the Statue of David, but in mega damage plating. It's not, okay, it's not, and I'm saying this out of character, it's not actually the Statue of David, but it's a very similar looking piece.
Okay. Lucas would go, "Hello, good sir. I have been looking for a..."
Shh. Okay, go.
"I've been looking for a person who could fashion one of these," and he's going to bring up the cross, "into a kind of 3-foot model, very, very to scale. I'm looking for it to be, if I'm not even sure if this is possible, but a highly impactful silver, like something that can actually withstand a blunt force trauma of a bomb."
He looks at you and then says, Silver's a soft metal. But if it was a strong ally coated in silver, can it be coated in silver? Does it have to be silver? Because it's very important. Is it silver or is it coated in silver? I need to know.
It can be coated, preferably to have it more on the through and through silver part, if it's possible.
Okay. You just had to say so. No need to get upset. All right. Yes. How big?
3 feet. A precise scaled up model.
3 feet?
He looks at it and he says, doable. Yes, pretty, yes, it'd be fun. It would take payment, of course.
Well, of course. You think I'd go around asking people to do things for free? That's just ridiculous.
Why?
Oh, that was actually a joke. As he continues patting his brow with an owl wallet in his hand.
he looks at you very seriously and says, I always ask people to do things for free. They almost never do, but I think it's a very fair question.
Said Ponners, you know what, you're right. You know, if I ask people to do things for free, I might get away with it. That's a good tip, good sir.
He nods, and he goes, I could do this. It would take, maybe a day. And it would cost, shh. Yeah, okay. 16 cats.
Okay.
He did say cats, right?
He did say cats, yes.
Oh my god.
He's looking at Lucas as if he had just said the most obvious thing in the world.
So Lucas is nodding, pondering for a second. You know what? Make that a double order. I need 2 of these, if you'd be okay with that.
Oh, but I can't have 36 cats. That's ridiculous. Okay. 16 cats.
Okay.
And 16 gerbils.
Gerbils or gerbils?
Yes.
He puts down 2 wallets. Sold, good sir.
He looks at the wallets. Those aren't cats. What are you trying to pull?
These are more symbolic. That's more of me doing the agreement to this deal. I will be back with... I already forgot. Gerbils or gerbils?
He nods enthusiastically. And 16 cats.
And the cats. I'll have you deal with the consequences.
At that point, you begin to notice that there are lots of things around his shop that look incredibly random and out of place, like very pretty lampshades, old broken down robots, some sort of like goo that's just kind of on a table. So it's maybe this guy doesn't deal in credits that often.
I like this guy.
Of course.
He's off to buy gerbil gerbils and cats.
All right. Do you mind if we shoot over to Talivac?
Go for it.
Okay. All right. So, Talivac, you guys get your shopping done, and of course, like with everyone else, just you can give me a list of kind of what you're looking for, and we can deal with it over the week. And after you get your shopping done, you and Ollie would head to the lower district. It's level 7.
Wait. I didn't want to go there yet.
Okay. So not yet.
I wanted to re-gear, then go back to the meeting place.
Okay. You're not okay. Re-gear. Oh, you could re-gear with what you bought, but you're not going to have time to go shopping and then go to the ship because shopping's on level 4A, the ship's on level 2B, and the meeting's on level 7. You've got 3 hours. You see what I mean?
Oh, okay. I just wanted to see if I could squeeze it in there, but it's no big deal.
That's fine.
Yeah.
What we can do is if things get if we get into a scuffle or a ruckus or something, we can retroactive a little bit. If we need
Ooh,
to.
a ruckus.
scuffle.
A ruckus. Ooh.
A slobber knocker. Okay. All right. Fine. Go down to the meeting place with my
Okay.
current gear. Yeah.
All right. And you go to level 7, which is much nicer looking than level 8. Even though it's only one level above where Sarah lives, you can tell the noticeable improvement. Where Sarah lived, level 8 is like the projects, the hovels. Level 7 is the lower income to slightly middle class. So decent houses, decent living. You don't feel like you're going to get shot walking down the street.
But it is shoddier though.
But it is shoddier. It's certainly
Yeah.
not full of mansions and pretty houses and things like that. You and Ollie go to a quiet section of the town in this where there's a large 2-story building. It doesn't look like a house. It looks like an old office building because it's got very large doors up front and some pillars, and it's basically just a big square or a rectangle.
I imagine it
two
looking
stories.
like one of those old city banks or something like that.
Yes,
Mhm.
very very close to what I'm thinking.
Okay.
And like the whole area around you is fairly quiet. There's a few people here, a few people there, but it's not very crowded at all at this time of day. And you get really close. You're like right across the street from it, and all of a sudden Ollie stops and puts a hand on your arm. Wait, do you smell that?
Try to smell it and try to identify it.
You smell blood. There's blood in the air.
Where's it emanating from? Dumb question.
From the building.
Yeah.
And you begin to see movement inside the building, and Ollie starts like tugging on your arm to kind of like crouch behind a building.
Oh, definitely go into total stealth mode on this. Yeah.
All right, roll me a prowl check if you would, good sir.
Okay. Let me just recheck my prowl again. Okay. And okay. Yes, I did. Out of 75.
Okay. All right.
Uh-huh.
You both of you very quickly, very quietly, like two reptilian thieves, crouch low behind a building and kind of watch the entrance. And out of the entrance walks a procession. The procession is led by a certain Katani inspector with severe burns on his face that you've seen before, followed by a High Lord that you have also met, Jarn Longth, However, his face, despite the horrible burns he must have received from the ship, looks like it always did. And as he walks out, he is wiping dark blood off of the giant two-handed sword that he had when you first met him. If you, I know it's been a while, but on Hoplite Station, he had a giant two-handed sword with him. And the second he steps out and the sword comes into view, Rapture just like hums violently in your mind. And
so when I'm looking at him, it's the Katani, the High Lord, and that's it.
No.
Oh, okay.
Following those two is a procession of well, you've not quite seen these before. They look kind of like, actually, let me get you a picture, but there's some sort of power armor. But the top half looks kind of Katani-ish, but the bottom half looks very snake-like.
Uh-huh.
And they, about 5 or 6 of them follow out, followed by one thing that's walking beside them that you've never seen before is, let me see if I can find a good picture for you. A very large, about twice your size, fully, either it is fully mechanical or it is so heavily armored as to be difficult to tell the difference. You know what? I'll go with this because this is very, very similar to what I'm thinking. I'm going to shoot this in the Roll20 for you. A cat or wolf-like being that's about twice the size of a man. That, like I said, is either fully mechanical or so heavily armored that it's almost impossible to tell the difference. It has a long whip-like tail and very sharp metal teeth. Trots alongside the High Lord, flicking its tail back and forth, flinging blood off of it. They walk out of the building and lead the procession down the street away from you, as Ollie kind of grips your arm quietly.
If he goes to grip it, I'm trembling. And it's really not out of fear. I just look at him like right in the face, you know, and I'm just like wide-eyed, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just like I'm like my lip is starting to quiver. You know?
He looks at you, his face completely impassive, and he says very quietly, "Pick your battles, Talivac."
All right. I'm definitely gonna. The smart move would be to wait until they're completely out of range before I make any move.
Okay. It should be noted that Rapture is almost perfectly mirroring your emotions. Utter revulsion and rage is kind of, it's weird because you're almost like feeding off of each other, if that makes sense. Your rage and revulsion is feeding into Rapture's and back. But it's very clear that it feels very similar to you. Oh, hang on one second, guys. Sorry, give me about 1 minute. I'll be right back.
Okay. You know what? Let's use this time to take a small break.
I'm going to invest in a nuke. And I'm going to plant it up their ass.
There's a silver lining to being ugly. You're so ugly, you can't get any uglier. So if any part of your face gets scars or burns, it doesn't take down the quality of your face.
Yeah, that actually makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Might actually improve it too. Who knows?
So, we've had like 2 minutes of literal dead air.
I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to play a game.
Sorry, I'm back.
Welcome back.
No worries.
You guys gotta talk to the chat, man. I had to go feed my cats.
I'm doing. I just noticed I may have flubbed on the particular length of what I was looking for, and I'm trying. I'm just trying to figure out if I did this correctly or not, and I'm thinking that it might not have been.
Well, this is super important because it's the difference between 16 cats and maybe more or less.
Okay, I'm going to show my entire hand now. I'm basically looking to have a cross as a one-handed weapon, and I needed to actually be the proper length for a one-handed weapon.
Got it.
Like a sword?
Kind of like that. I need to
yeah.
look into it though. I need to look into it a little bit because and I think you might know this, but they're like just making the shape of a cross isn't enough. It actually does have to be a holy relic. Doesn't mean that this won't work, of course. So you're already thinking that. Okay, good.
No, you only need the visuals of a cross. That's why we were able to keep them out by boarding up the windows, remember?
I think those are actually
those were actual crosses.
Yeah,
those were crosses.
No, we broke up a pew or two and boarded up.
No,
they were
I could have sworn.
No, I remember asking Squee, can we just make our own cross? He's like, no, it has to be something more involved than that. So you can't just take two sticks and put them in a cross shape.
And the windows were already blocked off when you got there because they'd been holding out for quite some time. But no, according to the book, it's for exactly that reason. You can't just take two sticks. It's not the shape. There's something, even though the book doesn't quite understand what, or the people who study vampires don't quite understand what. There is something about an actual holy relic that makes it different. But that doesn't mean that what Lucas is trying to make can't be a holy relic. So, tell you what. Same thing with everyone else. Over the course of the week, get with me and we'll figure out what exactly we would need to get your idea done and how feasible it is.
I've only one more step. After getting the proper sized cross things. And I'm definitely getting the cats and gerbils and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing I was going to do is go back to the church and ask for these two crosses to be blessed.
That's what I thought. Let me look into the book, but it should be doable. I kind of want to see because I'm sure the book covers this kind of thing. I want to see what that is, what needs to be done exactly, and but I think your plan is definitely doable.
Cool.
All right.
Just for a short story, I wanted to do that the first time that we encountered them because I was like, I just want to pull them off the windows and freaking start beating freaking some vampires over the head with some crosses. I want this to happen, and I didn't get the chance. And now that's coming around again, I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm. All right, you sure? Like I said, work with me. We'll figure it out. All right. The cross spotlight. Okay, so I'll say it this way to be completely fair. I'm going with. I don't like I said. I have to read up on it, but I'm going to go with the consistency of my world. I know very much so that I said before that we can't just make the shape of a cross. There has to be more to it than that. Mm-hmm. But I'll figure out what that is, and like I said, it's doable. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
All right. If you don't mind, I'm going to go back to Talivac real quick because we did leave kind of in a precarious situation. So, Talivac, you were going to wait until they were all the way down the street, and then
I was going to make my way to the building.
Okay. Ollie will follow you, and you go into the building, and it may not be very surprising, but it's a massacre in there. From what you can tell, there's probably about 16 bodies that are torn apart. Some of them look like they have been cleaved in half and burned at the same time. Rapture would let you know that that was the work of, in your mind, the name Alaman Kara appears. It's the rune blade that is carried by the High Lord Jarnalth, and some of them look like they've been ripped apart, either through, the strength of power armor or maybe the jaws of that cat. But whatever the case may be, there's no one even close to alive. There's no one on the cusp of death. There's no one who's even in one piece. This was an absolute slaughter in every sense of the word.
I have an important question to my character. Were there any children there, or any hatchlings, youngins?
Luckily, no. Everyone there, as far as you can tell, looks to be fully grown. There were some young ones. Maybe like if we would go like on human standards, maybe some that were 17, 18-ish. But there doesn't look to be any younglings.
All right. So I look around, and I don't see anything moving, not the slightest. They
aren't even in one piece. There's not a single intact body in that building.
Yep.
All right.
This looks like, and you're a thief, not a great warrior, but even to you, it's very clear and very obvious. This was not just a killing. This was, someone who took pleasure or great rage in what they were doing, if that makes sense.
Okay. Can I go for my Oscar here?
Sure.
All right. I'm just gonna. I kind of like sit in my knees. I just slump down and just put my hands out and just look at them, and I'm just. First, I get like really sad, and my head's down, and then I look up, and I'm just really mad, and I look back at Sparring, and I get back up and I look at him and say, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill them all. They're gonna pay. And then I just storm out the building.
Ollie stands passively. It's hard to read his face, but you're getting that from him. He is not someone that shows a lot of emotion, as far as you can tell. But he stands there motionless and silently as you say it, and then quietly follows you out of the building.
And that's the scene I have.
There we go. All right. It's a good place to end the session for everyone.
Yeah.
Totally, man.
Sure.
So over the course of the week, you guys just shoot some lists to me if you have any questions or anything like that. I'll work with all of you. Also, though I think I shouldn't say I know one way or the other, but if you guys could, or we can decide this next session or whatnot, but be thinking about if you want to track down vampires or look into Golden Orb, or what you want your next step to be.
Okie dokie.
All right.
Okay.
So
cool
we'll
session, Squee.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit of detective work.
A lot of emotion in this session, I have to say. A lot of emotion.
I have to say also, I'm very impressed with your detective work. It's very, very possible you could have ended a session or two with still not knowing what you were up against. But
following the tracks that get eaten by vampires.
Yeah. So, but you did very, very well, and brilliant idea of trying to match up claw marks. Well done.
Yes. I'm gonna stop the session right there then.
All right.
Catch you guys later. Bye-bye.
All right, gentlemen. I have some ideas, Squee. I'll shoot them to you later on.
Sure. Absolutely.
All right.